Toxic Bestie Syndrome. The truth about my 8-year friendship. I, 30F, am just looking for some impartial advice on how to deal with my current bestie, 30F, of around 8 years. Disclaimer. This post is long apologies. We originally met in high school and were part of the same friend group. We were never the closest, but were amicable. When a boy came between us, she proceeded to call me fat, which led to us falling out and had an impact on my self-esteem. I was only 120 pounds, FYI. Through mutual friends, we got back in touch age 19 and realized we had similar interests. A good friendship started, and I felt she had matured a lot since high school. Fast forward a few years and our relationship is closer, but I start to notice comments, actions which don't sit right with me, and ultimately this recently came to a head. Please skip to TLDR if you don't want to read all of this. Whenever we are having a conversation, it is very one-sided and all about her. I feel like her therapist at times. I am very patient with her, but when she comes over and unloads weeks of work drama, family drama, relationship woes, etc. on me, and I barely get a word in, and when I do, she barely listens/responds, it makes me feel quite used and as if she doesn't actually care. She puts me down quite often. There have been numerous digs over the years. One time we were both getting ready, and she looked in the mirror and said, "Oh, who is that sexy bitch? Oh, and you're here too," and laughed. I didn't respond, but it made me feel shit. She makes these jokes, but I can tell there is truth in it. She also loves to take selfies of us where she thinks she looks better than me and is the focal point of the photos, then will show me them with a smirk like, "Oh, you don't like the photo." On this note, we went to a gig recently, and anytime a guy looked in our direction, she said, "They will be looking at me. Let's face it, because I have blue hair." This was said at least twice during the night. It'll be me they're staring at because I'm the one with blue hair. Just nice, as if a guy could notice you when I'm here vibes. She has mental health issues, and it makes me feel like I can't say anything to her about her behavior without her spiraling into an anxious/depressive mode. She is very self-centered and always has to be the main character. Usually I try to ignore it because of her mental health, although it gets tiring, but whenever I have commented on anything she has done which has upset me, she makes me feel guilty for saying anything. There was a time she was at mine, and she kept putting her song requests on in a group of us, and no one else could add one quick enough. I got annoyed and said we should take turns, and she told me a few weeks later that she went home and cried to her parents about this, playing the victim to make me feel bad. When I asked another friend for advice, they told me this was actually very narcissistic behavior of her, as she was trying to make me feel guilty for calling her out her rude behavior. She also loves to guilt-trip me for our fallout in school, as my friends at the time were not nice to her after the fat comment. She never raises the fact it all started because she fat-shamed me, and I, in contrast, don't want to make her feel bad, so I don't bring it up. I recently planned a group trip for my birthday and was on the fence about inviting her, as I know she is self-centered, loud, attention-seeking, makes everything about her, and this can be quite annoying in group situations. She also has a food allergy, which I knew would cause extra issues on the trip. Please note I am sympathetic to the allergy and wouldn't want her getting ill, but she really makes a huge deal over it and brings it up constantly for attention. I ultimately invited her, as I convinced myself that she can be fun at times and it could be nice. She originally wasn't sure if she should come because of the allergy, but then agreed to come. I made sure there were food options at all restaurants for her, phoning ahead to a foreign country to make sure for her. I made a group chat and a rough itinerary for the trip and asked if it was okay with everyone. Bestie said she was too busy to look at the itinerary as she was out drinking with her other friends at the time. Rude, don't care vibes. We planned to go sightseeing as a group the first day. Bestie got up earlier than everyone else and went and did the planned sightseeing by herself, then proceeded to post photos on social media, saying, "Oops, only I could go and do all the plans before the rest of the group, haha." Apparently, she just stumbled upon the area. She apparently has bad anxiety, yet she went out by herself rather than with our group in a big city she doesn't know and asked strangers to take photos of her sightseeing. None of us understood it. It made everyone on the trip think the only reason was so she could be the first person to experience these places and post photos of herself there for us all to see first. The whole thing was so rude, bearing in mind she hadn't seen people on this trip in years, and she went away herself to do the plans without even waiting to say hello to them. It set the tone for the whole trip. She left the plans early every night to go rest in the hotel when the rest of us stayed later, socializing. She then got up earlier in the mornings because of this, and did everything herself in the mornings and made it out that we were the lazy ones in bed. She did this on the day which was supposed to be my proper birthday dinner/drink celebration night. She did her own sightseeing and then delayed meeting the rest of us until 3 hours later than planned. When she finally met us, she interrupted/talked over me multiple times to show the group photos of her solo sightseeing. At the meal, my husband mentioned that this was my birthday meal, and she said it's not her birthday. Her birthday was the other day. To which my husband clarified that this my birthday celebration meal. She would have known that, but apparently I'm not allowed to take any attention away from her for one day. She was the only one of the table, in the group of 8, who ignored and didn't partake in the toast to my birthday, and then also refused to take a group selfie of the table when she was the one sitting in the best position to do so. Later that night, she asked the group, "So what are we doing tomorrow then?" And my husband commented, "I don't know why you're asking, as you haven't wanted to come along with us the rest of the trip." This put her in a bad mood, and she didn't talk to anyone on the way home. Also, after all my effort to make sure her allergy was accommodated for on the trip, which she still made numerous comments on the trip about how anxious she was about the food, she left the group plans early, again, on the last night, and secretly went to a fast food chain, which is complete against her allergy requirements. We found out as she accidentally showed her a photo of the food. She was flying home with my sister and also told her that my husband's comment made her go back to the hotel and cry, playing the victim when the comment was made as a result of her actions. After the trip, I feel it has all come to a head, and I realized she wasn't actually there because she was interested in spending time with me and the group. She treated it like a solo trip and was the main character as usual. I have not spoken much to her since. I feel that it was the tipping point after the years of her being so self-absorbed, not interested in me, constant put-downs or comparisons, manipulative and narcissistic traits by making me feel guilty, using mental health as an excuse and making me tiptoe around her emotions. I am just exhausted and feel that her company brings more negative feelings than positive. I have been trying to distance myself from her, but I worry I come across as the bad one by being quite blunt, not making plans, etc., especially with her mental health issues. I know if I raise any of the issues with her, she will just play the victim and make me feel bad. Any words of advice or examples of similar situations would be much appreciated. TLDR, finally accepting that best friend of 8 years doesn't actually act like a best friend, has main character syndrome, is attention-seeking, only cares about what she has to say, likes the idea of a bestie for social media or as an accessory to her life, but doesn't actually care, can be very rude and bitter, did everything solo on group trip for my birthday, makes sly comments for years about appearance, comparisons to me, etc. in terms of money, house, uses me as a therapist, guilt, trips me if I ever question her behavior, and will bring it up years later to make me feel bad, uses mental health as an excuse, plays the victim constantly. I want to distance myself, but I know she will react badly. Any advice?